Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Conner, secretly a Vince Neil impersonator. Really, my look is not too far off these days. And I'm here with my man Sterling Holmes. We are here coming to you live ahead of the draft in Kansas City. Looking forward to the draft in Kansas City. It's draft week. Sterling, my friend, how are you this morning? Wait, this afternoon. My day's upside down. But how are you feeling?
Busy, good, busy, excited, nervous, thrilled.
Do you need someone to kickstart your heart for the draft? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, man. I'm alive. I'm a live wire. It's just been helter skelter over here. I know it's a Beatles song, but they did do a pretty good cover of that. I guess it's the same old situation.
You need some Dr. Feelgood over there. Is what
yeah.
You just want home sweet home. That's what you want. You want this podcast to end so you can go home sweet home.
Right now, I'm just shouting at the devil. That's just what I'm doing. If the Chiefs draft a running back, I will be shouting at the devil. That's the way I'm going.
There we are. Well, folks, obviously we're here in draft week. We're thrilled to be here. Our own Patrick Allen is going to be on the ground there with Sterling Holmes as the draft unfolds all weekend long. Beginning on Thursday night, I believe 7 p.m. local time will be the time that the first note card will be turned in. I'll say this. So my wife was just asking me, she's like, okay, so what's going on? Is this something I want to watch? What are they going to be doing? And I said, honestly, hon, it's just names written on a note card. And then a guy in a suit goes to a podium to read the name on that note card. And then she's like, well, then wait, why do people drive in? What are they, people come to watch that? And I was like, wait, yeah, they watch it. In fact, it's probably going to be broadcast on 3 different channels. And, there'll probably be hundreds of thousands of people. And she just couldn't. Yeah, it was just the whole thing of just it is pretty amazing. If you want to know how good the NFL is at creating an event, write 250 names on note cards and see how many people want to be at your event. And then how well they've done it here. I love it. I love it, though.
I'm also excited for everyone here in Kansas City. They get to boo Roger Goodell in person. Just get ready. Get your boos ready. Start low. You got to start in the diaphragm, right? Right down here. You got to really, and then get your boo birds rocking for Roger Goodell. It's going to be fun. But before we get
of booze, get your booze ready, folks. Get your booze ready. Sterling, tell them why.
KC Bier Co. KC Bier Co. brewed a phenomenal IPA called Never Say IPA because they said they would never brew an IPA. It doesn't go with the German brewing style. But guess what? They did it. And guess what? I'm glad they did. It is extremely good. I'm not just telling you this because I haven't tried it, because guess what? I've tried it now. Tried it multiple times and can't stop drinking it because it's so good. I could not recommend it anymore. Never Say IPA. It's not just good for a brewery that doesn't specialize in IPAs. It's great for a brewery that, even if they did specialize in IPAs, because it is that good. Never Say IPA, KC Bier Company. Make sure whenever you guys go and grab it, it means the world to us when you guys tagged us on Twitter. When you guys have gone out of your way to tell us, hey, you know what? This is really good. And then you tag KC Bier Co. as well. That really does mean a ton to us and to them. It helps show that the partnership is actually working. And plus, great beer. Who doesn't like it? So KC Bier Co., dare to beer different.
By the way, pick up your Nicky 6-pack of KC Bier this week on your way home to watch the beer festivities. Get it all in. If you haven't noticed, we're just majoring on Motley Crue here because Motley Crue is going to be in Kansas City on Friday as one of 3 headliners, along with Fall Out Boy and Thundercat. We'll talk about that in a little bit because I have opinions. You have opinions. We all have opinions. But let's get to some Chiefs news, NFL rumors, etc. If you're with us on the show today, first of all, thanks for joining us an hour early. We're actually broadcasting early because I got to go watch my kid tonight perform at his spring elementary school music program.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. What that means is he's going to face the wrong direction in the back row. I'm going to get a photo of a back of a head Well, there's usually some like incredible kid who's like, not only is he well rehearsed, but he's probably like breaking down some dance moves. There's always like one kid that everyone ends up watching. It was you, Sterling. Was that you when you were growing up? It wasn't me, and it's not my kid, which just means all of us are going to go park and find a place and get real uncomfortable in this elementary school gym just to watch one parent's kid show off for everyone. And then we'll all feel worse for not being parents of that kid.
And that's why they brewed Casey Bier Co.
And that's why I need a Nicky six pack of this stuff. Anyway, let's talk some stuff. We're gonna sift through draft rumors, draft projections, and some of our own inclinations here. However, Pat McAfee came out today on his show and he said, "Hey, look, these DeAndre Hopkins trade rumors. There's a strong possibility he's dealt this week." Now, look, that's honestly, most NFL fans could have said this because, like, if a guy's going to get traded, he's going to get traded by the end of the draft. But here it is. It's out there. Hopkins is going to get traded most likely this week. We already knew that. But with that sort of, if that plane is landing, okay, we've been through this in weeks past. But that was maybe before the Chiefs picked up Richie James, maybe before the Chiefs landed Justin Watson to a 2-year deal. Those guys are never getting mistaken for DeAndre Hopkins. But we kind of have a rounded out wide receiver room where maybe some of us have said, you know, if you added a rookie to this, I'm okay with it. So now I want to go back here. If Hopkins is traded, the Chiefs have been in, the Bills have been in, the Ravens have been in, and the Jets have been in. It's an all AFC bonanza. And in the midst of that, DeAndre Hopkins was asked, hey, with your body language, point with your nose or your dreadlocks or whatever toward the team that you want the most. And he does a dance when the Chiefs were mentioned. So he clearly wants to play here. And the Chiefs have been in on it. I want to know what you think. How interested do you think the Chiefs really are? And does DeAndre Hopkins' desire to be in Kansas City even matter in that equation?
I think I'm out. I don't know what it's going to take to get him. I mean, we saw it at one point that they were just going to release him, right? That was a legitimate report that was out there that if there were no suitors, he might just be released. If that's the case, I think the Chiefs have almost zero shot of getting him. Seems like the Chiefs are having a cash issue almost. It seems like they're taking it back, taking the reins back right now. Whether it's trying to save it for L'Jarius, Creed, a Chris Jones extension, a Mahomes restructure of his contract, that remains to be seen. But it doesn't seem like they're in the mood of going out there and signing someone to a lucrative deal. And if they trade for him, well, he's on a fairly lucrative contract. I don't see them doing that when they thought Juju Smith-Schuster's contract was too steep, right? Juju Smith-Schuster had a very solid year last year. Again, no DeAndre Hopkins, but you knew what you were getting with Juju. With DeAndre, it's still a little bit of a question, especially at his age, right? There are some question marks there. I just don't see the Chiefs doing this based on the moves they have shown us.
If they traded for him, what would be an acceptable level, like a cost for you in terms of draft assets?
Well, again, I think it comes down to the money issue more than anything else. So this is obviously all speculation. I would say the Chiefs have 2 4th-rounders, go there. If you want to go with the third, I'll entertain it. But I do think the Chiefs' best option is, a tackle in the draft, a edge rusher in the draft. I do still like a wide receiver in the draft. While this draft is very interesting where there's not a ton of high-end talent, in my opinion, I don't think there's like a whole bunch of dudes where the consensus is like, yep, that's the best wide receiver. Yep, that's the best edge rusher. Yep, that's the best tackle. Feels like there's a lot of juggling going around, but this draft does feel to seemingly has a lot of depth in the 2nd and 3rd round. Like there's a lot of starter caliber players there, even if they're no longer superstars. Let's just say a wide receiver too. Like let's just say Jonathan Mingo. Let's say Cedric Tillman. That's a solid wide receiver, I think, on a rookie contract. I might entertain that. The Chiefs have been trying to go younger, more cost-controlled. That fits the mold. DeAndre Hopkins goes against everything the Chiefs have done over the past 2 off seasons.
Okay, you bring up an interesting point, but let me push back here. One, let me just say, if you're listening in live right now, we'd love to hear what you think. What do you think of DeAndre Hopkins? Let us know in the comments, either under in the comments under the description of where you're listening, or live right now. We'd love to highlight your comments. But you said this goes against what the Chiefs have done over the last 2 off seasons, but that brings up something for me. In that, doesn't that then allow them to do this move? Like if you've stopped spending and have no real bad contracts, does that not give you some operating room for a contract? Or
it should.
Or if you've gone super young, then that maybe allows you to make the veteran grab because you're not overly loaded with other heavy veteran contracts and whatever, or that you would want an older wide receiver in with your younger. I only ask because I'm looking at this draft class and I'm thinking, why is every wide receiver that I want 5'10", 180? Every one of them I want. Zay Flowers, Mims. It's like Quentin Johnson is the only one who's like 6'2" or 3.
Cedric Tillman from Tennessee is about 6'3", 6'4". He's a big boy.
But then you're getting into guys who are like day 3 or day 2, maybe even sliding out of the top 100. I mean, I don't know, but there's like a big glut of receivers there. But the clear tops guys are generally, slottish guys and like someone like a Hopkins who's just this towering menace. Even when he played last year, 80 yards per game, 80 yards of production per game in a Cardinals offense that was, So, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not wanting to write him off. I mean, I know you're not writing him off, but yeah, I guess I just wanted to pose that when you say, hey, it kind of goes against, does that clear the way? Or are you just like, no, yeah, that's not it. That's not it.
Again, if he comes to Kansas City, I will be excited, but I would be shocked. I would be shocked if DeAndre Hopkins ended up here in Kansas City. I would be, again, happy. I'm going to be happy. It's tough to not trust Brett Veach, a dude who's been to 3 Super Bowls in 5 years and won 2. Believe it or not, that earns the benefit of the doubt from me.
Yeah.
Just this guy over here should hopefully earn the benefit of the doubt from everyone as well here in Chiefs Kingdom. But frankly, I just don't think it's going to happen, and I don't really want to talk about it anymore. I'm with Todd Rogers. We're still talking about Hopkins. Yes, please. I'm ready to move on.
Just wait till he's in KC, and then everyone's going to have to eat those words. Yeah, Todd Rogers said, oh, Christ, we're still talking about Hopkins. John Satterfield says he's going to Buffalo. That's been, he's not the only one here saying that. Would that put Buffalo over the top for you in a way, like in that AFC East race where Aaron Rodgers just joined, etc.?
They're still better than the Jets now. The Jets, I don't want to get all in this because I've talked about this on Stacking the Box today.
Sure.
If you want to check out Stacking the Box podcast, feel free to do it. You can check it up on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Talked about on radio today. Basically, I think the Jets made the right move, but it does not make them better than the Chiefs, Bills, or Bengals. But
Sure.
it's the right move unless you're going to just continuously sit in mediocrity because, fun fact, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, I don't see him retiring anytime soon. So you have to take a chance. So I get it. I do think it would make the Bills a lot better, but at the same time, there's only one football, and Stephon Diggs likes it. Stephon Diggs, when he's not getting the rock, even when their team's going well, seems like he complains. That might be an issue.
Yeah. Jerome Bunkers wants to know, hey, guys, how many open slots do the Chiefs have? How many draft picks? I wonder if they pick OT and DT early with D-Hop trade in the 4th. Who knows about DT trade? We've just been talking about that, or D-Hop, but the Chiefs have 10 draft picks. And I think that's a very fair question of whether the Chiefs have room for 10 draft picks. There's a lot of room for competition here, but I would actually throw out some concern that I don't know that there's a. Remember, if you pick a tight end in this tight end class, and many people think they will, that means you're cutting a Jody Fortson. That means you're considering a Noah Gray. It means you're out on Blake Bell. I mean, it means
I think Noah Gray's fairly safe at this point. I think it's either Fortson or let's do it. You want to do this? You want to go through a list because I have it pulled up right now. The Chiefs' current depth chart.
Sure.
Because I think that's the best way of going through this.
How many automatic spaces are there? In other words, for rookies.
So right now, quarterback, you obviously have Mahomes, backup, Blaine Gabbert or Shane Buechele. I think it's going to be either one of Buechele or Blaine Gabbert. So let's say no spots now. Isaiah Pacheco, Clyde, I think it's a spot open. LaMichael Pirine, I think it's a spot open. Jerick McKinnon might be back. I think you're looking at 1 or 2 spots at running back. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd say 1. Because look, the roster right now is supposed to be at 90 men. We got to get it down to 53. So,
well, I'm not going to count Jerron Ely at wide receiver, but as far as wide receiver goes, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, MVS, Richie James, there's 4. I think Justin Watson is a good chance of making this team.
Yep. I think there's one. I think there's one logical spot there. Yeah.
And you have also Justin Ross. You have John Ross. You have Amir Smith-Marset, right? You have a couple of guys who are still on the current roster, but they're long shots, right? Yep. And we all expect the Chiefs to take at least a running back in the first top 100. And not only that, Richie James' contract and Justin Watson's contract are not such that if they find guys they think are more talented, they'll be gone.
Yeah.
As much as I love Richie James, that contract says I like Richie James more than the Chiefs do. I'm man enough to admit that. Tight end, we went through Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Blake Bell, and Jody Fortson. I think Travis and Noah are locks. I think Blake Bell and Jody Fortson are probables, but not locks.
Yeah.
Offensive line, what do you think they keep? 9 or 10?
I mean, I think you go 10 deep.
So Juwan Taylor, Prince Tegawanogo, Joe Tooney, Nick Allegretti, Creed Humphrey, Austin Ryder, Trey Smith, Mike Caliendo, Lucas Niang, Darian Kennard. I think Austin Ryder is actually one of the ones that you could take a look at and say, hey, with Nick Allegretti, with his ability to play center and guard, you need to double down there.
Yep. Caliendo?
Yeah, you probably have 1 or 2 spots at least on the offensive line. Yeah, I think Prince Tegawanogo also. So you have a few spots on the offensive line. There we go. Defensive line, Karlaftis, Dana, Herring. You have Amenahu, Daniel Wise, and Kando. I think you have 3 guys who are locks: Karlaftis, Amenahu, and Dana.
Yeah, it would surprise me if Kando breaks camp on the active roster this year. I mean, unless he's going to show something. But
tackles, you have Danny Shelton, Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, Turk Wharton. 3 locks, 1 maybe in Danny Shelton.
Yeah, they've got some other guys in there too. Byron Cowart, Phil Hoskin. I mean, yeah, there's room for 1 more there.
At least. So defensive line, you have a couple spots. Overall, from edge and interior, there's a couple spots, right?
Yep.
So there you go. At linebacker, Willie Gay Jr., Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquil, Leo Chanel, Jack Cochran got some run last year as well. I think that's the one position we can say there is 0 room at linebacker. There is no room at linebacker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, unless an unexpected value falls and Cochran's out or something. But at that point, I think you're looking at trading Willie Gay. I mean,
Willie Gay.
You have a starting caliber guy come in. If the NFL's best linebacker, or if the draft's best linebacker falls late second or even late third somehow, and the Chiefs are like, how do we not add this value? At that point, you're probably looking at like, whoa, what can we get for Willie Gay?
So going to cornerback, you have Trip McDuffie, Josh Williams, DiCaprio Boodle, if you're going to throw him in there, L'Jarius Sneed, and Jalen Watson.
I mean, that's another pretty full position, but I think there's room for 1.
At least 1. I think there's 4 locks: Sneed, Watson, McDuffie, Williams. I think DiCaprio Boodle is probably a question mark. So if you keep 6 corners, you have a spot for 2.
Yeah.
Safety, Justin Reed, Mike Edwards, Deion Bush, Brian Cook, Najee Johnson. You'll probably keep 4. Safety group is pretty much full, right?
Yeah. Najee Johnson could be a hybrid guy and play corner too. So you could say there's 1 or 2 spots overall in the secondary.
So point is, there are some spots open on this roster.
Yeah,
going down it, there's more spots than I think people want to realize. Again, most of it's depth, and a lot of it is not in the sexy positions, right? We're talking about maybe a couple of CB5 and CB6. We're talking about
interior O-line,
right? So we're not talking about some of the fun position. We're not talking about Bijan Robinson, right?
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about. So there are some room, but the Chiefs would have to draft specifically for that position if that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah. So, maybe to answer Drum's question, we came up with at least 8 spots.
Yeah.
And maybe more. That said, there's going to be fierce competition. There are guys from last year. There are guys in the wings. Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. Let's get into a couple other things here. I wanted to ask you this, and then we can get into. I want to talk DraftKings and whatnot, but Sterling, over the last few drafts, let me just read you this, and then you tell me what you think of this. Brett Veach's very first draft, 2018. I'm just looking at the first 4 rounds. Like after that, when you get to round 5, 6, and 7, if a guy makes the active roster, hey, congratulations, man. Honestly, if a guy starts games, super congrats. And if you end up lasting for years, like a Zach Fulton or Trey Smith, don't know how you did it, but amazing, right? So, but rounds 1 to 4, I think, okay, let's look at this with seriousness on the picks. In his first draft, Brett Veach drafted 4 defensive players with his first 4 rounds worth of picks, right? In his second draft, he goes 2 of 3 defensive heavy. In his third draft, he goes 2 of 4, so 50% offense defense. Then 2 years ago with the Nick Bolton draft, he goes Bolton and Kando in the first 4 rounds and only Creed Humphrey on offense. Then last year, it was 5 of 6 were defense. So again, that's 4 of 4, 2 of 3, 2 of 4, 2 of 3, and 5 of 6. That's incredibly weighted heavy on the defensive side after so many picks over so many years. And of course, those early ones never stuck because you might as well have drafted me and you if you're drafting Breland Speaks and Dorian O'Daniel, right? But when you go defensive heavy, 1, that tells me you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. 2, the Chiefs were already loaded there with other future Hall of Famers like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce from the John Dorsey years. But when you draft defensive heavy for so long, it's made me think, is this the year that the Chiefs, after a half decade of drafting primarily on defense with their early picks, is this the year that the Chiefs look at offense and go, okay, we need to start getting some long-term heavy investments on offense, even though we have Mahomes, because we've sown enough seed on defense?
I think so. I really do think that's the case. I think wide receiver for 1. I think a tackle for 2. I think a backup interior offensive lineman is another one. I think a running back at some point, again, please not in the first round. Whatever happens, I don't care. If it's the 4th round, great, ideal. Not the first, please. So that's another offensive player. I do think you're looking at more of an offensive investment this year. One thing I want to bring up, I think Sky Moore is not getting talked about enough. Sky Moore, I think, flashed in limited action last year. We know how difficult it is to pick up Andy Reid's system and scheme. We know it takes players time. I'm not saying Sky Moore is going to all of a sudden go for 1,200 yards this year, but if he's a Deontay Johnson light this year, let's say 800 to 900 plus yards, I wouldn't be shocked. I honestly, if Sky Moore went for 800 yards this year on a good amount of targets and good amount of catches, I wouldn't be shocked. I think that's the case. I think people are somewhat underestimating Sky Moore.
But if Sky Moore gets that, and Kadarius Toney gets even remotely what he should get in this offense, especially with the way they've emphasized him in last year in limited action, and we've already discussed on past episodes. I don't even know how great the need is at receiver if those guys legitimately step up. Now,
I think there's at least one because one, you want someone who's on the roster for the future. Because I don't think Justin Watson, as much like Richard James, he's not the future. He's more of a holdover. MVS is somewhat of a holdover. Kadarius Toney, I think you can make the case for. So you basically have two guys, Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore, who you're really hoping stay here at wide receiver for a while. But Kadarius Toney still has that huge caveat of injuries. I think you need at least one more wide receiver, if not two. One for health purposes, and two, because I would like to see him here growing with Mahomes for a while. Plus, wide receivers, as much as we like to think that every single dude's going to be a hit, we know as well as anyone, John Baldwin, right? Was that a hit? No, it sure was not. And even if you look at the McCole Hardman draft, we always talk about Terry McLaurin and DK Metcalf, and no one brings up Andy Isabella, right? No one brings up a couple of the other dudes that were drafted right after McCole Hardman. So I think we always look towards the hits, and instead of the base case, I always try looking at the base case, not best case scenario, not necessarily worst case scenario, but base case. I think that's the best way to evaluate and the best way to try and draft as well.
Man, I love what you're saying. I think you're right on. I think this is the year that we'll see an offensive investment. It'll start on the line, and I think it'll go from there. We'll talk more about some of our picks in just a second. But folks, just want to remind you, we've partnered up here with our friends at DraftKings. Bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if your moneyline bet wins. A minimum $5 deposit and wager any pregame moneyline required. New customers only, 21 and over and present in Kansas. If you have a gambling problem, 1-800-522-4700 in Kansas. And see the full terms at DraftKings.com or in the description below. But yeah, if you want to get your wagers in before the draft, there's plenty of juicy bets to be had.
Code Arrowhead. DraftKings. Code Arrowhead.
Code word Arrowhead. Yeah. By the way, just type that in. Just type in Arrowhead in all kinds of places on the internet. It will work for anything that we really care about. So yeah, I just do that randomly a couple times a day. So yeah, that's what I would recommend. By the way, Sterling, you holding up all right, man? You've been doing a lot of radio today, a lot of discussion.
Yeah, it's been a lot, man. And I have to wake up early tomorrow. Got some fun interviews I am doing. Don't want to tell it all right now, but should be doing a couple of draft prospects tomorrow morning down there at Union Station. So I'm looking forward to it. But I'm gonna be up and at 'em in a suit at 6 a.m. So
6 a.m. suited at 6 a.m.
Suited and booted at 6 a.m. Which for me, you might be saying, Sterling, that's normal time. No, it's not. Not for this guy. 6 a.m. is early.
Folks, we want to play a round of buy or sell. This is a first round edition. Sterling, my friend, buying or selling. I'm going to bring up some things. You're going to tell me I'm buying that or sell it. Sell it on Facebook Marketplace for 1/10 the value of what we paid for it because my kid didn't want it for Christmas, even though he asked for it. And the next thing I knew, I had to sell it to a total stranger for pennies on the dollar. That's what we're talking about. Buying or selling. Here we go. Chiefs first round edition. This may be easy. Brett Veach is going to trade up. Are you buying or selling 2 days from now?
Oh, buy. Okay.
Don't want to be a fool for you.
Yeah, call me in sync because I'm buy.
Dude, Veach is just another player in your game for 2.
Dude, I'm all in on Brett Veach trading up. I don't think he stays at 31. I think he either trades up or trades back. I think that's the most likely scenario. But I think a trade up is in the cards. I think particularly for a tackle. And I know I see Joshua in here talking about Niang starting at right tackle. I do like Lucas Niang, if you know me. I was one of the biggest Niang supporters out there. But you need somebody who can stay healthy. I know they sunk a second rounder into Lucas Niang, but that's also a sunk cost. At some point, you have to either put up or shut up. Again, if he's starting, I'm not going to be as worried as a lot of people, but I do think there's a chance that he trades up and gets Darnell Wright. That's the guy I keep pointing to. If you see Darnell Wright go to about 21, if you see Darnell Wright at 21, hold on to your bootstraps because it's going to be bumpy. We're going to see Veach go up for Darnell Wright if he gets past 21. I firmly believe that.
It would behoove the Chiefs to make that move, ignore the sunk cost, and trade up for Darnell Wright. If all that happens, it's the most sterling thing ever. I'm with you, man. I'm buying that. I don't think that's the target. I think pass rusher is the target. I think you got some. I think
who would you
Beach
get?
will be okay with some competition at right tackle versus the sure thing. I guess that's my bet.
Who would you get at edge then? Is there a name that you're targeting around a certain spot? Like for me, it's Darnell Wright, 21 on.
Sure.
For you, do you have a player or a spot that you're like, all right, if this guy gets here, I'm all in on?
My real prediction is they stay put and Anton Harrison falls to the spot. That's my guess. But if we're trading up, no, I guess I don't really have a guy. I mean, a defensive tackle I'd love to see. I'd love to see Maisie Smith or Brian Breesy, one of those guys at 26. Get ahead of the other AFC contenders, and I'm good. And get your guy. To me, that's it.
One spot I really don't want to see the Chiefs trade up and go after is wide receiver. I just don't see it. I think JSN is clear cut the number one best wide receiver, but after him, I think you can almost throw some dudes in a bucket and pick a name, and I just don't think we will know. Like Quentin Johnston, I know folks are so excited, and he would fit this offense very well. I'm nervous that he has disappeared in big games. I'm nervous that against top-tier competition, he's nowhere to be found. If you don't make the case that Max Duggan was throwing him the rock, I'll entertain it. I will listen. Not trying to rip on Max Duggan. He had an incredible season, but he's not Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, right? He's not in that same category.
Yeah.
That does make me nervous. And as big as Quentin Johnston is, he doesn't play big. I think you can get a similar body type, Cedric Tillman again, in the second round. I think there's that sweet spot of wide receivers in the second round. I don't foresee a trade up for a wide receiver. That would not make me happy. As much as I like Zay Flowers, if he's there at 31, fine, but I don't want to see a trade up for a guy like that. That's not what I'm looking for. That's just my personal opinion. I see a lot of Miles Murphy, Todd Rogers, Ed E says Miles Murphy. Yeah. That'd be very intriguing as well.
He's incredible. He's incredible. It'd be great. It'd be a great grab. I mean, no doubt. No doubt it'd be a great grab.
Yeah.
I think he's going to cost a little bit more. I think a lot of these guys that are top edge are going to go top. I think we're going to see more corners go higher. Good corners, your elite corners go higher.
Well,
your
two
edge rushers go higher.
Witherspoon and Gonzalez, we'll see them go top 10.
I think people are sleeping on Joey Porter Jr. and wait till he comes. I think he's going to go earlier than people think too. I think we're going to see some of the linemen drop. I think there's enough questions about some of them. I think we're going to see some of them drop. So, we shall see. All right, buy or sell. The Chiefs are going to stay in the trenches. It feels like we're already talking about that. Are you buying?
Yeah, I'm buying that one too. You've heard me already. I think offensive line, particularly Darnell Wright's the guy I'm going for. Anton Harrison, if he's there at 31, wouldn't be upset. Defensive line, it's a trade up for a guy. I wouldn't be upset either. I mean, you've seen Lucas Van Ness at times mocked top 10 and at times second round. Like there was ever a draft for chaos. This is it.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs really, if you see something crazy happen, I would not be surprised. I mean, the Texans sitting at 2 and they might not take a quarterback. Hell, the Colts might go from 4 to 2 and then take Will Levis. Like this could be a crazy situation where guys where you think they're going, all of a sudden they're dropping 15 spots. CJ Stroud all of a sudden may be going 7 or 8 to the Raiders. I wouldn't be shocked. Like this is going to be a draft of chaos. I hope Brett Veach handles chaos well. So far, I think he does. When Trent McDuffie dropped, right? He thought no chance we're going to get McDuffie. He was dropping. He traded up. I wonder if a similar situation happens this year.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a great point. Buy or sell. 5. By the way, Chris Collinsworth just came out with his first mock draft. Don't know what you think of Chris Collinsworth. He had the Chiefs at 31 going with Herndon Hooker. Yeah. Who knew?
Now, here's a guy who doesn't know the Chiefs have Mahomes.
Here's a guy right here. All right. So, yeah. But bringing up Hooker, 5 quarterbacks in the first round. Do you think buying or selling?
Selling. Oh, man. I don't know. Wait a second. So, CJ, buying. Buying, because I think Hooker ends up being the 5th guy.
You think Hooker squeaks in there?
Yeah, I think he squeaks in. I think Bryce Young, it looks like he's going 1-1. I think for whatever reason, Will Levis is going to be the second quarterback taken. I disagree vehemently. I don't understand what people see. I could be completely wrong, but everyone keeps pointing to him being Josh Allen, but I think Josh Allen was the outlier. I don't think Will Levis has the same tools, the same skill set, the same want to. I saw him take on my Missouri Tigers. Yes, he came out with the victory, but he didn't look very impressive. And it wasn't him. He wasn't the reason why. It was a horrendous punt call. Okay, it was stupid. It was bad. I disagree, sir. I'm still yelling. But I don't see it with Will Levis, okay? I think C.J. Stroud has a high floor. I like C.J. Stroud a lot. He would actually be my number 1 quarterback. I've been talking about it. I think C.J. Stroud is my 1-1. Anthony Richardson, highest upside, lowest ceiling. We'll see with him. He's a big dude. He's not Lamar Jackson size. He's more Cam Newton sized. So I think he's going top 10 as well. Hendon Hooker is interesting. I don't like the way Tennessee's offense was run. It's not this NFL style offense. Not only that, Hendon Hooker's 25. We always hear people ripping on Stetson Bennett. Right? What's he doing in college? Okay. This dude's also 25 and he's had major injuries. So Hooker, for me, coming from Tennessee, there's so many questions of why I wouldn't do it, but I'm not a GM. All these teams are valuing quarterbacks so highly, and I wonder if a team like the Vikings, they already have their guy for another year or two. I wonder if a team like the Vikings, if the Seahawks, if they take a chance on a guy like this, that 5th-year option behooves them very well.
Yep.
We're seeing the reason why that 5th-year option matters with Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. You think they wouldn't like to have another year there just to see? Yeah. So I do think Hooker is the 5th guy taken.
I think I'm selling. I just think there's, I don't know. I love what you're saying about that 5th-year option. I love it. And as a GM, that's like, I mean, if you hit, you're saving millions of dollars. But I also think the risk is too great. You worry about that 4 years later. I think Hooker's out. I don't get it. I'm with you. I don't get it. I think half these guys turn into Christian Ponder. Honestly, that's what I think. So yeah, we'll see what's going on. Just to take some of the temperature here in the room. Lots of angry drunken German says lots of smoke around Casey taking a quarterback. It'll be very interesting. Nate Taylor's report in The Athletic during his own mock draft had them going with Jaron Hall from BYU in the 3rd round, and said sources tell him that the Chiefs really like the BYU QB. So BYU QB. I like saying that real 5 times fast. So
BYU known for having relatively great quarterbacks recently, like Zach Wilson.
Maybe he's Steve Young,
Taysom Hill,
or Ty Detmer. Who knows?
No. Hall does make some sense as far as he could run the same offense that Mahomes runs. You wouldn't have to change it that much because of style. Obviously, talent differential, whole different story.
Sure.
But the same style, you can make a case that it makes some sense. I would be surprised with Shane Buechele and Blaine Gabbert. The Chiefs saw enough in Shane Buechele to make sure he was not touched by teams last year. Teams came calling. Chiefs said no. That makes me believe they at least see something. They at least want to see him in training camp and OTAs and preseason. And that's why they brought in Blaine Gabbert. As long as Andy's here, I think he likes that veteran guy. Even though Mahomes is also a veteran guy, he wants his backup to also be a veteran guy. Whether it's Kevin Cobb, Matt Moore, Chad Henne, it doesn't matter. He likes these guys that they know what they're going to get from. In a game or 2 sample size, Andy Reid can scheme them open enough to make a difference. Or scheme them up enough, I should say. I don't see a quarterback being taken by the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, that was my next buy or sell. And you're selling. You're saying Gabbert and Buechele are in. I'm actually buying. I'm buying this. I think the Chiefs are in. I think the Chiefs come away with one of their 10 picks or however many they make. I think one's going to be a quarterback. I think Blaine Gabbert's stint with the Kansas City Chiefs is going to last slightly longer than CJ Spiller average stint with the Kansas City Chiefs. And then I think you're going to see Shane Buechele risked on the practice squad going forward. That's what I think.
I think it's a good point you bring up. I think part of this could be a Blaine Gabbert situation where they have him in now. They might keep him during OTAs and training camp and maybe even preseason, and then they release him. And if another team does not pick him up, they might have him back at some point, right? They might say, hey, you've been here. You know what we do. You know how we run our system. If it's a good fit, you're going to be here. And if we need you, keep your phone handy.
Yeah.
That's what that might feel like. That's
like a Matt Moore.
Like a Matt Moore. That's a very good point, Matt. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my thought there. All right, first round, buy or sell. Flowers or Johnston? This is your call, my friend.
Oh, dude. Matt. No. I don't know. I keep talking myself into second round and third round wide receivers because I think that's where the value's at. I really think there's the value there. Yeah. I'm not 100% sold on either Flowers or Johnston. I think there's enough questions about both that make me a little nervous. I think if I had to pick one, it's weird. I go back and forth. I might go Flowers over Johnston because of the fact Johnson has disappeared in those big games because he doesn't play big, even though he's a big dude.
Yeah.
It's almost like I just don't see how much he helps this team. I think Flowers, while he is smaller and you're like, why do you keep getting this guy? I think he actually would make a bigger impact. I do. I don't think he's as redundant maybe as some of the current players on this team, even though the size is the same. I think Flowers makes a lot of sense in the slot and he would make a more immediate impact than Johnston. I guess I'm saying neither, though, if I had my druthers and pick a second or third round guy.
Yeah. I think that's a sweet spot too. What do you do with that whole Zay Flowers working out with Patrick Mahomes?
I thought Johnston did too, though. If I'm not mistaken, I think both.
I think you're right. Like, what do you make of that? I mean, if you're getting other players involved, that seems to signal a little bit more, right? Or not?
I think so. Trey Lance working out with Mahomes. Obviously, Trey Lance is going to be a backup quarterback for the Chiefs now. No, it's obviously different because one's on a team and one's in a draft. I do think there's something to it. I think there's something to it. And I also think it's good for the player themselves, though. Think about it. You're going catching balls from Mahomes. That's huge.
Huge.
If you're going to get that opportunity, you take it. Even if you're paying out of your own pocket, you're saying, all right, now I know what it's like. Now I know what I'm doing here. I'm learning already. That's an experience you don't just get. Sure, you might be going to the Giants and Daniel Jones is throwing you the rock, but now you know at least what it's like coming from a great quarterback, what to expect, some routes to run. What do you need to work on too? That might be a big thing as well. So I kind of think Ronald might be a good point here. Flowers and Johnson, also a smokescreen. I think it means something, but maybe not as much as people think.
Yeah, several people here in the comments just think the Chiefs are smoking wide receivers, sending out those smoke signals. Wait, smoke screen, not smoke signals. Those mean different things. I use a smoke screen to get rid of people and a smoke signal to attract people. English is a funny language. Anyway, here we go.
And we all found that out because Matt has been smoking.
Oh, man. I was going to. Anyway. All right. Last, buy or sell. Are you buying or selling the NFL draft headliners? Yes, that's right. The NFL has announced. So after each night of the draft, when the draft goes in travel mode, what happens is the NFL invites bands or artists to play late night concerts after every single round. So this year in Kansas City, after Thursday night's first round, Fall Out Boy will take to the stage near Union Station. Then on Friday night, it's Motley Crue, the melting fake faces of Motley Crue. And then on Saturday, after probably early evening, it'll be Thundercat, and not the 80s cartoon, but the actual great artist who's around right now. I'm giving away some of my thoughts already. Are you buying or selling this trio? Are you going to parse this out?
I'm going to buy because I think it's fun. I'm all in on Fall Out Boy. I've seen them before in concert. They're a killer show. They're really good. Whatever your thoughts are on Fall Out Boy, they put on a really good show. they do have songs for everyone. If you're into that punk rock stuff, their early album, they still play 4 or 5 songs off it. Their encore song is still off of their first album. It's kind of almost like a screamo song. Yeah, Saturday. It's my favorite song by them. It's hilarious. When I went to see them, all these 12-year-olds are sitting around like, what's going on? And I'm like, screw you, kids. This is for me. This is for me.
Wait, did you say that? Did you turn to the
No, I wasn't.
and say,
I
screw
wasn't
you,
pushing
kids?
them. Yeah, screw you, kids. Get off my lawn. No, I like Fall Out Boy a lot. Their new album just came out, and frankly, it's very, very good.
Wow.
Like, if you like rock music and alternative music, they moved off of that pop stuff, really, that kind of Centuries, which I think is just a horrible song. But if you're into pop music, they got pop music for you too. I think Fall Out Boy's really done a good job. I'm buying them. I'm buying Thundercat Saturday night because it's an ode to Kansas City, 18th and Vine, and the jazz history that abounds here, right? I love that. Thundercat is a phenomenal bassist. He's done stuff with Michael McDonald, which you know I love, with Kenny Loggins, which you know I love. He's done stuff with Mac Miller, right? Like he is just a incredible musician. So I'm buying Thundercat.
Yeah, I'm in with you there.
Motley Crue, I am concerned with this ongoing stuff between Mick Mars and the rest of the band members. With Vince Neil, when he is singing, sounds like a dying cat who's out of breath. Like, it's hilarious. Look up. I just watched one of their, and I love Motley Crue, by the way. Like, Motley Crue, if I had my favorite like band of these three, like just to listen to, it's probably Motley Crue. I love Motley Crue. Okay, I have a Motley Crue shirt that I'm probably going to be rocking. There's a middle finger on the back of it. It's cool. Okay, it's awesome. I love Tommy Lee. I'm a drummer. You know I love Tommy Lee.
There it is.
Nikki Sixx is cool. John 5, great guitarist from Rob Zombie, as well as Marilyn Manson is the guy filling in for Mick Mars, which is cool. He's a very good guitarist. But Vince Neil,
dude, he's lost it, man.
It's not only can he not sing anymore, then they just have backing tracks where he's not even trying. There's and again, maybe they figured out before this show, right? Maybe they figured out and Vince Neil is going to be killer. I sure hope so. But he went from not being able to sing to them just putting basically his vocals over the band. And he's just kind of sitting there, just not even trying.
It's horrible.
And you're sitting here like, what's the point? What's the point?
Yeah.
I like Motley Crue a lot. And if you go in going, all right, it's going to be a party. They're going to play the greatest hits. You're going to hear Dr. Feelgood and Kickstart My Heart and Live Wire and all that stuff. Then sure. But if you're going in with a great musical expectation of Vince Neil still crushing it, I don't think you're going to be left super happy.
Man, I'm with you. I know probably more Motley Crue songs than most other bands, and grew up on those albums. All the way back, man. Shout at the Devil.
Oh yeah.
Too Fast for Love. Whatever. Early days.
Too Fast for Love.
Dude, we should have a whole just a Motley Crue appreciation episode. Forget football.
Terror of Tinseltown.
Dude, but yeah, man, I have seen hilarious clips of people, sharing like, who is this band and why are they so bad? And, look, man, I mean, some bands still have it. I mean, if you've seen Mick Jagger is still badass and the Stones kick ass, right? But some bands just don't age well. And it doesn't mean the individual members aren't aging. Like, maybe some of them are, but I just feel like Vince Neil's kind of given up.
It looks like he's almost given up. Like, Brian Johnson can't even hear anymore, and he got back in the studio and recorded a killer album. Like, you're like, how? AC/DC, up until everyone's final days, like Malcolm Young was still crushing it. Angus Young was still crushing it. They're out there getting it. Even Bret Michaels puts on a pretty good show still for Poison. Whatever your thoughts are on Poison, they still put on a good show.
Boy, now we're
and someone is taking a shot at Skid Row, and if you take a shot at Sebastian Bach, I will throw hands. Sebastian Bach's glorious voice still rings true today. It's still perfect. The hair is still luscious. Okay, if I hear Monkey Business or Slave to the Grind or 18 in Life, I'm gonna lose it.
My heart just swelled with pride for my partner bragging about Sebastian Bach. Monkey Business. I love that song so much. Way more than I should. Anyway, by the way, we have a super chat here. Love it. Even the name KCDC. Love it. Maybe Vince will lip sync it. Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, he needs to because he can't hit those high notes anymore. But it doesn't take a deep dive into the internet abyss to find Motley Crue videos that are cringy while they're playing like the Harrah's Casino in some town. Yeah, it's just not good, man. It's just not good.
I love this too, Tom Hood. What about Warrant the Down Boys? Yeah, we could get some Warrant out there, some cherry pie, the Down Boys. Where the Down Boys go. Angry Drunken German says, I remember you and I got your back on Bach Holmes. Thank you.
Dude.
Thank you.
Let's get
a hair metal show. Like I'm all for it. Okay?
We need it. You know what? We should just start an 80s rock podcast. We could totally get all these guys on interviews. I mean, we're all like, there'd be no problem.
I mean, we could get Brett Michaels and CeCe DeVille. CeCe DeVille, he's going to pick up the guitar and talk to us, and it's going to be so good.
I love it. Let's do it. All right. If you want more of that, give us a thumbs up or 5-star rating wherever you're at. All right, let's get into this. I'm running out of time here. So are you. I just wanted to ask in general, are we coming away with this with an early running back? And are you ready for it?
First rounder, no, but like a fourth rounder, yeah. I think the Chiefs do take a swing around the fourth round at running back. Who's it going to be? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say like Deuce Vaughn's the answer. I like Deuce Vaughn. I think he would make a fun wrinkle to this team. I am concerned about pass protection though with him. Yeah. Like I'm not scared about that. He doesn't want to pass protect. I'm scared about the size. I know you want to point up like Jerick McKinnon's not a big dude, but you look it up and like there's like a 25-pound weight differential. Like there's not a ton of good legitimate comps outside of I think JJ Taylor for Deuce Vaughn. If you look at those athleticism numbers,
sure.
People like to always say Darren Sproles. Those athleticism numbers were like double Deuce Vaughn. I love Deuce Vaughn, but there are a lot of questions. A lot of questions. The Chiefs took him in the 4th or 5th. I would still be excited because I think he's just so electric. I don't know how you get the ball into his hands, but if you find a way to, I enjoy it. But as far as the traditional running back, that would make me a little nervous.
Yeah, maybe Rashawn Johnson, maybe a Kenny McIntosh. The Chiefs were just linked to Kenny McIntosh earlier. He's he was the big back for Georgia this year after James Cook left. Maybe he caught a lot of passes this year. We'll see. Okay, let's go over our draft projections here. The number of final rookies in the Chiefs draft class will be what?
Oh, man. That make the roster or that are picked?
Just picked. How many rookies in this draft class?
Oh, so they have what? 10 picks currently as we said.
10 picks currently.
8.
Okay.
8.
Go ahead.
I think we see a trade up in the first round. And that's going to cost them 1 pick this year and maybe 1 next year. Ooh. And I think we see a later pick that's also a trade up. That's going to cost something. So there we go.
Yeah. I don't think there are as many spots on the roster as you. I don't think there is as much interest in late round flyers as you. So I do think there's going to be a few moves up. I think we're going to end up with 7 picks total. Yeah. Which prospect will fall the farthest in this year's draft class? Like who's going to be the talk of that first round where everyone's kind of freaking out?
I think CJ Stroud falls because I think a lot of people had him either at 1 or 2 coming in. So maybe it's not a massive surprise now, but I think he goes like 7 or 8 at this point. And I really like CJ Stroud. So this is tough for me, which is hilarious that I've become a Ohio State quarterback supporter over here. Seems weird for me, but I think there's a lot of talent there. But I think Will Levis and Anthony Richardson are going up folks' boards. I think Jalen Carter will be drafted before him. I think Wilson and
Will McDonald or Will Anderson?
Will Anderson Jr. will be drafted before him. So I think you might be looking around 7 or 8, and that might constitute a huge fall. Johnston or Addison. I think might one of those guys make it to the second round. I actually have Addison make it to the second round when I did this morning. So if that constitutes a fall for you, Addison in the second round, that might be the biggest fall.
You know what's interesting here is that there's so many guys who are like first round grade worthy that there's always 5 to 10 of them that fall the second round. And we're like, oh, how are they fall? But you just can't have. I mean, there's even one less first round spot this year. Thanks, Miami Dolphins. So yeah, there's going to be guys there. It's not surprising at all that Addison may fall there. And then let me get your final order of quarterbacks taken in the first round. Young, Richardson. Well, we just brought up all 4. Do you think Stroud's the last one taken in that group?
Yeah, and again, my personal preference.
Yeah,
Stroud, Young, Richardson, Levis. What I think happens: Young, Levis, Richardson, Stroud.
Wow. So your favorite's going last.
Yeah, my favorite's going last.
Interesting. All right. Well, man, I don't know what to think of that. I have to admit, I just have no clue what's going to happen. I don't know who does, but yeah, it'll be a lot of fun to watch. It'll be also fun to hear and see what Sterling's doing. Folks, if you're tuning in through the rest of this week, just know we're going to have some live folks on the ground there at the draft. Are you and Patrick doing anything broadcast wise from the draft?
We're actually texting during the show. We're going to try and figure it out. We might be doing something Friday, might be doing a first round recap / second round look ahead on Friday. Still looking for that. We might do a little KC Bier Co get together. Might be kind of fun. So we'll see. We'll see if you're in the Discord channel, if you're a member. First off, hopefully you guys are. It's pretty cool. If you are, we'll keep you guys, in tune with what we are doing. We are also doing a happy hour tomorrow for all of our members. So look forward to that as well. I believe the happy hour we are doing is right after Adam Best and myself get done with our podcast, our live show. We're just going to hop straight on and do a happy hour with all the members. So that'll be fun as well. Ask any questions you guys want. It'll be very, very cool. So yeah, just kind of stay in tune. If you want to follow me on Twitter at HomestretchKC, I'll try and post stuff there as well.
Man. Well, folks, we end every show with our what we call the must list, what we recommend for the week. We'd love to bring in our producer, Richard.
What's up, guys? Happy to see
y'all. Always good, man. This week's must list is just where we recommend random things. We've been recommending hair bands all episode. It feels like we've already done a must list, but here we are. Anyway, Richard, do you want to go first this week?
It's a pleasure. I'll go first. I'll happily go first. Nothing too weird, I hope, this week. I'm going to recommend a YouTube channel. Now, second only to the Arrowhead Addict channel, so don't forget that there. So this isn't me being a traitor. I'm going to recommend the Red Letter Media channel. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it, but they are a film and TV review channel, I guess you can say. I'd like to put some air quotes around that for the podcast listeners, because I don't know what you call an instructional video on how to defend yourself against a knife attack. That's not a film, but that's definitely something I want to watch. But these guys are like one part Siskel and Ebert, one part Mystery Science Theater. You mix in some booze in there and some cynicisms, and you got Red Letter Media. These guys are just assholes, and they watch films and they act like they act like ingrates, and it's great. I love that channel. If you need a good entry-level series, check out Best of the Worst. That's usually where they'll take a handful of tapes, watch them all in succession, and then just give a roundtable discussion where they just pile on the hate onto all these movies and stuff. So I'm a huge fan of that since growing up with Mystery Science Theater. It's not full commentary. Like, you're not going to watch the film with them. They'll just kind of cut to their reactions, cut to their takes, back and forth. Nicely edited, funny stuff. Red Letter Media.
Red Letter Media.
Mm-hmm. Dick the Birthday Boy. Angry knows what's up. Yes, they are like there's so many memes that you don't realize are Red Letter memes until you start watching their channel. And Rich Evans is the number one guy there. Dick the Birthday Boy.
All right. Red Letter Media. I'll go next. Strong, you take us out of here. How's that?
Cool.
Do you guys watch Barry? Have you guys seen Barry? Heard of Barry?
I've heard really good things about it.
I've heard great things, but I don't think I have seen it.
Dude, it is like...
Is that with Harry?
It's with Bill Hader.
Bill Hader, okay.
Bill Hader from Saturday Night Live plays a hitman on this HBO comedy. each episode's like 30 minutes. It's an easy watch, short watch, easily bingeable, surprising amount of heart. It's laugh out loud. It can be totally gory and then have you laughing in the same scene. Because Bill Hader is a hitman, a successful assassin who wants to be an actor. So he's taking acting classes on the side, and it's everything that happens with all of that. It's just absolutely hilarious. And the new season has started. So if you have not already caught up, Barry is an excellent show.
I take that back. I've seen one episode or two episodes, and because that rang a bell. And yes, it was very funny, the limited amount of action I saw in that. Before I get to mine, I want to say, so it's my birthday today, and I want people to guess how old I am. I would love people to take a random guess on how old I am. If the mustache makes me look older or younger.
Sterling, it's your birthday.
Yeah, dude.
And you brought up your own birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
I just feel like I've failed.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, I know.
I feel like I've failed.
Yeah, remember that text I sent you on your birthday?
Dude,
wow.
I failed you in every way. I'm so sorry.
Dude, you're fine. I literally do not care.
I don't know that's true.
No, because Richard already told me. Don't worry. Everyone at Arrowhead Addict already told me. Evan's the closest right now at 52. He's very close. Mine's so much for Stardust, the new album by Fall Out Boy. I think it's honestly very, very good. I went into it with very low expectations. I thought it was going to be just like Centuries or just some other that new kind of pop rock stuff that's not good. It was really freaking good, like really good. And listen to it in its entirety from song 1 to the last song. They tie together. And I love that. I love when they have the same melodies, tie the entire album together, makes you feel all warm and fuzzy, like you got somewhere, and then you're back home. I love that in an album. So much for Stardust by Fall Out Boy. I'm actually excited to see him on Thursday night, so that's pretty cool. And I'm 29. Turned 29 today.
Man, happy birthday, Sterling.
Yeah, happy birthday, Sterling.
Thanks, dude. It's the busiest week of the year for me. So I was like, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Just 29. Man. There's not really any fun birthdays after you turn, 21? Yeah, 25, congrats, you can rent a car. 35, you're no longer eligible for the draft. I don't really know what else there really is.
Hey, I'm glad. I'm glad you were born. I'm glad your parents did what they did 9 months before today.
And this
29 years ago.
God.
End the show.
There we go. We'll see you, folks.
Oh, we're just ending it? All
no.
Right. See you later. Okay.
Thanks for hanging out, folks. We are the Arrow. It all fell apart the moment I brought up Sterling's parents, but we all know how this works, right? Anyway, you've been listening to the Arrowhead Addict podcast. My name is Matt Conner, probably losing my job tomorrow, but happy birthday anyway to our beloved Sterling Holmes. On behalf of Richard, our producer, all of you in the comments who have just been so great today and hanging out. We'll see you next time. Also, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for talking about
We're all sorry for that one, guys. We're all sorry. We'll see you later.
I'm not sorry. I think it was great.